right. Shalom, everybody. How you all doing? Hopefully everybody's doing well. Trying to get Facebook up and going as well. Hold on a second. Thank you for being on today. May the words of my mouth and may the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer. It's in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect this message. Amen. Thank you for being on. Trying to just get Facebook Live going, and then we'll be able to start. 1 second. And if you'd like to go ahead and look at all this information, if you want to take a screenshot of it real quick, maybe we'll have time at the end, depending on what's going on, to maybe we'll be able to get this stuff moving or going and growing and come back again. Thank you for coming on. These are different places that you can find us and be able to find out what we're doing for the diaspora, for our community, and help out if you'd like to as well, or start something very similar to what we're doing. We figure you might as well join something that's already helping people and don't have to reinvent the wheel, but feel free if you feel led to do something else with what we're giving today. We have no problem with it. All this stuff up here are places that you can find us at and get more information on what's going on. And just trying to get Facebook going, and then we'll get started. Let's see. But thank you to everyone for participating, for being on with us this rising. It is cold down here, but I'm gonna try and do this with just my sweater on, so we don't have the rustling of my sweater or my shirt every time something moves. Got so many moving parts out here. Thank you to those. We're going to be seeing this on later on Facebook. Trying to make sure that people on Facebook who were kind of joining us when we got taken down off of other platforms can still be able to be with us and think about what's going on and be a part of this great community. And as we move forward, can you see as I'm speaking the cold air? So there's a lot of cold. We're gonna press through this though. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. All right, I think we're going to leave this here for now. I think we've been able to let everybody know who we needed to know was on today. Alrighty. So we got Facebook on, we have TikTok on, we have YouTube on, we have the podcast on. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Prayerfully you will get something amazing out of this. As always, this is Pastor Kofi, aka the Shadow Ben, one pastor, servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, by being a voice to the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Are you in Michigan right now? Yeah, it's probably going to be extremely cold up there. Shalom, Minister, nice. Got shea butter on. Alrighty, somebody who's saying that I'm Brandon or whoever that guy is. I guess because we're both black and we have afros. I fit the bill, I fit the description, right? But thanks and welcome to everybody. Shalom, shalom, peace. Namaste, Osayu, I see you, Hotep, bonjour, ni hao, hola, habari, jambo, aquaba. All these different people, welcome, thank you. So if you're trying to follow what my son's doing on YouTube, you can go here, 777 Soloface, hashtag Find Solomon. If you're looking to see what my wife is doing, you can check out her at hashtag Find Bloom. You can also find her at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, but the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's on TikTok, YouTube, and her website. You can also text her to get in contact with her about what she's doing at 410-469-1553 if you would like to be able to check out what we're doing. At Kofi you can go to Kofi-40.com, the YouTube channel, as well as many other things that we do on social media platforms. Just look up hashtag FindKofi. You can check us out at 410. You can get in contact with us, text us. You can call if you want, but calls usually don't come through as well, right? So if you'd like to get in contact with us and know that we're going to be in contact right back with you, you can contact us at 410-714-5078, or you can contact us at 202-599-7312. All right. Alaikum salam, Space Birds. How you doing? We're thankful and grateful for everybody who's on. Shalom, Chef. Shalom, Helen. I'm sorry, PBG. I always forget who PBG is. Please forgive me for not saying the name. That's still one hasn't stuck in my mind yet, as far as the name with the screen name or whatever we would call it. So. We're thankful and grateful to you, and we're going to start off today, and we're going to talk about something very specific that, if we get this and we comprehend what's going on with this, you will be able to see why a lot of stuff is the way it is, why people come against what you say, why people say that we can't be who we say we are, why people have to tell you that you really have no history or that your history is warped, even though his story comes from him, right? And you got to figure out who him is that's giving you the story. Right, when we talk about our story, the story, real stuff, etc., why people are going to automatically try to squash everything that you have to say, right? We want to tell you why, right? This is why. The full title of this later on will be "This is why they need you to be wrong," right? But this is why. This is why they need you to be wrong. Okay? If you have been trying to figure out, or if you've been searching for certain things and everybody's trying to tell you why you're dead wrong about everything and you can't be right, and all the people that are going to come on here and try to tell us, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, and you're just speaking on things randomly, and you're messing people up, and how dare you mess people up instead of help them, and you're a reverse racist, and you don't know what the Bible says, and you can't be who you're supposed to be, and the first thing people do is go ad hominem, so they come on up, look at your hair, it doesn't look like what we want it to look like, things like that you go through. You have to have a job instead of make sure that you're in your work. You have to be obedient to a corporation instead of being an actual country and be an actual citizen. You have to be an artificial person instead of being a natural person, right? All these different things. This is why, right? Because if you were ever right, watch this. If you're right about one thing, then the possibility, right? Let's use some terms that we use all the time. If you're right about one thing, then maybe you're right about, then by definition, if you're right about one thing, check this out, then I have to be right about something, right? Or maybe we even put an S on that, say some things, right? And if I'm right about one thing, then right about some things, the possibility could be that I'm right about anything, right? And if that's a possibility, I'm right about anything, then wait a minute, could be a possibility that I could be right about all things. Now, I didn't say that you will be right about all things. Nobody's perfect, but what I'm telling you is, if you're coming from something and you're presenting something, Shalom Cole, how you doing? If I'm presenting something to you, if I'm giving you something, if something that we're talking about is actually righteous, the word righteous meaning it's in right legal standing, right? Righteous doesn't mean that you're good, bad, that you make people feel good or bad, right? Righteous means to be in right legal standing. So, if I could be possibly right about one thing, this is why they need you to be wrong, because in order for them to be right, they have to be 100% right. They have to be 100% correct. Okay? So if there's a possibility, hear what I'm saying, right? You said if your base is truth, then yes, you know all. Well, if you know truth, it means that you can learn more truths, right? It's an avenue to learning more truths, more eternal truths. But I get what you're saying, right? But this is why people need you to be wrong. This is why people will come on today and tell us why we're so wrong about everything. Everything is incorrect. How dare you talk about this stuff? You're so hateful and harmful. Why, right? And I'm not good. I don't hate anybody, right? Matter of fact, if I ignored people, then I would hate people by definition, right? But people will come on because if you're right about one thing, right? Your enemy knows this. The people that are against you, your oppressor knows this. The people who've been teaching you wrong, the people who need to be right, the people that have to be Republican or Democrat or Libertarian or Green Party or Communist or Independent or Christian or Muslim or whatever it is that they have to be, right? If we were ever to get to a place to where we could get people to just say, wait a minute, if this person could be right about one thing, right, then they would be right about something by definition, or some things, which means they could be right about anything, which means, wait a minute, there's a possibility they could be right about all things. Right? Did you catch that? Like, that's simple. If somebody's going to argue that, there's somebody who's ready to just, they're trying their best to just be, I guess, nowadays we would say a troll would be what we would call them or whatever, but they're trying their best basically to just win an argument rather than actually be correct, right? Right? You said righteousness means morally right or virtuous. Yeah, somebody changed it to that, but the word virtus just means, if you look up the word virtus in Latin or Greek even, virtus is just basically saying how one represents. So if you're talking about virtus, how does one represent? Morals is talking about, what is considered perceived to be great or evil, depending on one's culture. So we're going to talk about righteousness being in right legal standing. Then we're talking about somebody who represents a standing, right, that is considered to be legal, and what is that standing based upon? The morality. Where did that moral come from? Where is that moral compass? What is north, so to speak, on the compass? If we know what north is, then we can figure out what east, west, and south are, right? So if we, once again, even on the compass, if we figure out what north is, that one thing, then when it comes to north, west, east and south, we probably can figure out where we're going, which means that we probably are right in any direction we go in, which there's a possibility that whenever we say go in any direction, we could be possibly right about all directions. That's righteousness, right legal standing. I know we change definitions to make sure that they, understand definitions are going to change completely like every 20, 25 years. Because people want it to be different every 20, 25 years to be able to lead people or guide people towards their narrative, towards their ideal with an L on it. The ideal is when people build narratives that suit their own beliefs. This is the main reason why right here, though. The main reason why people need you to be wrong is because if you were ever right about one thing, it disproves that you were wrong about all things. Because what's happening with a lot of people, they're looking for you to be wrong in everything. Right? What happens with a lot of people is that they're looking for you to be wrong in everything. Right? Did you catch that? Like, a lot of people, when they come on and they say stuff, they don't say, oh, well, you're wrong about this one thing. No. What do? They say, oh, well, everything in the Bible is wrong. Well, so you're telling me there's no such thing as a Pharaoh? You're telling me there's no such thing as Kemet? You're telling me there's no such thing as Cush? You're telling me there's no such thing as Kanav? You're telling me there's no such thing as an Israelite people? You're telling me that human beings are in existence? Of course you're not saying that, right? But you're trying to disprove everything, because if you were to say that everything I say is wrong, then you can therefore put whatever you want in it. Now, once again, the moral compass that you're talking about, we have to ask the question, where are you getting your things from? All these things that we've listed, where are you getting your things from? What is the source, right? What is the source, right? Catch this, what I'm about to say. What is the source of all things? Has to be the question, right? What is the source of all things? If we're going to get the one thing right, which leads to some things right, which means to anything being right, which means to all things right, well, we have to first ask ourselves, what is the source of all things? Now, people don't want to have that conversation, but that's why people say, where do we come from? That doesn't matter if you're atheist. You want to know where you come from. Doesn't matter if you're agnostic. You would like to know where you come from. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim. You would like to know where you come from. Doesn't matter if you're black. You would like to know where you come from. Doesn't matter if you're white. You would like to know where you come from. Is that moonshine? No, it's not moonshine. This is water. It'd be too early. Even if I was drinking, it would be way too early for moonshine. At least, I don't know. I guess some people, it's always good for, right? But once again, right, if you want to be right in one thing, some things, anything, all things, right? Then you have to go to a source of all things, who would be the source, therefore, of anything, who would be the source, therefore, of some things, which would be the source of what? One thing, one mindset, one ability, one law. See, once again, when people talk about this, people are coming from a place trying to go against law and what law naturally is and not even comprehending law. Even if you want to be down with law and you want to comprehend what law is, right? A lot of people are in a place where they can't receive law because law is not the same as rights. You think that law gives you rights. Rights are unalienable, even according to the Constitution of the United States of America, right? You have unalienable rights. That means you cannot be separated from the rights. You have the right to do what you want to do. And that's why I get when people say, do you, right? So now you have the right to do you. As long as your right doesn't infringe upon somebody else's right, do what you do. Now here's the thing though, there are laws to protect us from when people try to take away our rights or try to take away your right, and to protect them. So if you want the right to kill somebody, you have a right, but right to think that way, to even want to do it. But the second that you cross over and actually do it, there's a law that says we got to lock you up because you've taken away somebody else's right. You can think about it, you can plan it out, you can do all types of stuff, but the second that you actually go in on it, right? And matter of fact, there's some laws to protect you from even planning on it, right? But let's just use it like you have a right to kill. You have a right, but if somebody killed your child, right? And while they were killing your child, you were trying your best to defend your child, and you killed them. You had a right to do it because they came on somebody else's right. This goes into a lot of different things, but I need you to understand, like, a source. What is the source of the things that you do? Right? That might have been a little too far for some people, right? That might have been a little too much. We don't really have time to really open up that can of worms because I know people are going to come with all types of stuff with that, right? But you have a right to do something. You have a right to do anything. You have a right to do all things as long as they don't infringe upon the rights of all, right? But you don't understand that until you know where source is. A lot of people don't understand that laws do not give rights, laws protect rights. Laws do not give rights, laws protect rights. So people who keep talking about we have to fight for civil rights, they've messed up. What you have to fight for is really, you don't even have to fight. What you have to do is look at law and say, how does law benefit me, right? And so this is why people will even tell us, stay away from the law. Don't worry about laws. These same people that will go out and stop at a red light will tell you and I, don't worry about law, right? These same people that go out and say, hey, don't come on my property, it's private property, will tell you that law doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. It's cognitive dissonance. Matter of fact, here's something when we talk about this right here. I think we pretty much explained this very well, right? With the help of Ruach HaKodesh. She's let us explain this very well. The source is what you need to know about, because if you're right about one thing, this is why they need you to be wrong. This is why people are going to come and say everything you're saying is wrong, nothing you're saying is correct, I don't like anything that you do. They got to start undressing you, look at your clothes, they got to start taking your hair away and trying to make you bald. Hey, look at your hair, cut off your hair. This is why they got to start trying to make you toil, like they have to toil 8 hours a day. So they say, go get a job, because I have a job, I have to toil. And so if I'm toiling out here and you found a way to be able to make sure that you have multiple streams of income, take care of your family, eat off your land, travel, help the diaspora, do all these things, but I can't do it, this is why you got to be wrong. So they got to figure out one thing about you to be able to say that some things that you say and anything that you say, and therefore all things that you say are wrong. Now they got to attack your source. So now even if somebody believes in the same Elohim that I believe in, Shalom, Derek, how you doing? If somebody believes in the same Elohim that I believe in, they read the same canon that I read, even those people will come on and say, I got to tell you why you're wrong about everything. Because I can't have you be right about one thing. They'll bring up your past, all that, right? Bring up your past, bring up the fact that you sinned, bring up the fact that you made a mistake, you misspelled a word, you did like people look for anything and everything. Why? Because if they can find that you're wrong about one thing, it gives them hope, right? It gives them hope. I see you, Tech Man. Thank you for the agreement. It gives them hope. And I apologize. If you have questions, by the way, comments, concerns that you really want me to get to, remember you can always go to this question mark box here if you're on TikTok. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, of course, you can ask questions. YouTube will be on later on, so just put in the comment section. If you're in on the chat on the podcast, feel free to put that there, right? But you gotta, amen. We gotta walk heavy. That's glory, right? Glory is heavy. That's the weight, right? We gotta be serious about that. So if somebody wants one thing to be wrong, so I can attack everything. And if I can't find one thing, then I got to attack your source so that I can say that all your things are wrong, even if that's cognitive dissonance. This is a copper cup, okay? But that's cognitive dissonance, right? It's cognitive dissonance. They have to live in cognitive dissonance. Now, here's the thing about cognitive dissonance with these people who need you to be wrong. This is why they need you to be wrong, because if you're wrong about one thing, they can say you're wrong about everything, and therefore, if they can't say that you're wrong about all things, then they have to attack your source. So your source could be the one thing that says that you're wrong about some things, and possibly wrong about anything, and possibly wrong about all things. If I'm correct about things I'm saying, by the way, that's why I don't opine. That's why I don't give opinion. Right? I don't give opinion. People say, what do you think about something? I stay away from think. I say, this is what it is. Thank you for the love for that person that gave the crane. I believe that was the origami crane. Appreciate it. Right? And thank you, by the way, for the likes. Thank you for coming on with us. Thank you for speaking. I'm going to try my best. There's a whole bunch of comments coming through. You can always DM me, by the way, or reach us at the information I had up at the beginning. I'll try to put it up as we close. And we get ready to take our leave as well if you make it all the way through with us. But feel free to contact us, okay, if you have questions and I don't get to them. I don't mind. In free time, which I have very little of, but in free time, I promise you, at some point, I will get back to you, right? But once again, so in all these things, right? This is why they need you to be wrong. This is why people are so much against truth, anti-information. This is why people will come on. Like, we'll have a whole thing talking about loving your neighbor, loving the Most High, praying for people, loving your enemies, all this. And somebody will come on. Well, do you like? This is like clockwork. Somebody come on. What do you think about the LGBTQ plus? I haven't said one thing against LGBTQ plus and this whole thing, but fine. If you want to know my honest answer, then I'll just tell them what. We don't agree on certain things, obviously, because of my canon, because of my belief system, because of what I believe your calling is, and because of what I believe you're called to do. However, if you are that, if I love my enemy, I would love you. So we just talked about loving my enemy. You don't think that you would count somewhere in between enemy and family, right? But they have to do that because they have to find one thing. Here he is talking about the Bible. The Bible says that I can't do what I'm doing. I'm going to find something to say that the source that you're coming from is wrong. Right? This is what people are trying to do. Rather than just look at the source. The source that we come from is Yahweh, Ahaba. That's where you guys get God is love from, 1 John 4:8. Yahweh, Ahaba. Ahaba means the love, the action of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I can't love you in Hebrew, right, without the actions of the Most High. And the Most High allows us to rain on the just and the unjust, and he allows the sun to rise on those who are doing great and those that are doing evil. Right? But they have to find one thing to chip away. Right? They have to find something because, oh, you must be wrong about something. You must not be correct. What if what I'm saying is true though? What Yashtil, Israel, believers, family, faith, friends, even enemies, right? What if trolls, lovers of what we do, community members, people that serve the community? By the way, don't forget Friday is coming up. Every first Friday we go out and we try to bless somebody in the community. So please be a blessing to somebody out there. All that stuff, right? What if what we're saying is right? And not just right, but what if we are righteous in what we say? Righteous literally just being in the right legal standing. What if we are in right legal standing as far as what we say? See, because there's different types of laws. So let's deal with this, right? There's different types of laws, right? So we have different types of laws, correct? Laws do what? Laws don't give rights. You already have rights. Laws do what? Laws protect rights. You said, what if none of it truly matters? Well, I mean, then that would be somebody attacking the source. And somebody saying that, hey, if I can say that nothing matters, then I can, then everything that you say doesn't matter. I mean, it's the same thing, right? So I get what you're saying, and hey, by the way, this is our standard. It doesn't have to be your standard, right? I'm not saying that everybody has to accept this standard around the world, and if they don't, then they can kick rocks or something. Like this is our standard, So this is a platforms that we're on that we use regularly, and if you like the standard, if you want to live up to the standard, feel free to. If you don't like it, then you can deny what the standard is, right? But laws protect rights, right? And laws are laws. Laws are what they are, right? Theories are not laws. Laws are laws, right? Laws based upon theory are theoretical law. They are not law, okay? We got to make sure that we get this. Laws protect rights. So, and I saw somebody at the corner of my eye put something that said creates order, things like that. Okay. You said it doesn't matter what you say. Help people, be kind. It matters what you say too, right? But your actions should speak, right? More communication, 93% of communication is nonverbal, but 7% matters. Like my love language is words of affirmation. If people say words, it does something to me, right? So I've had to even learn how to go against people that speak negative against me all day, every day, because, that's part of that's a law that comes. Like if somebody's attacking that, they're attacking something that is at the inner essence and core of who I am, whether people like it or not, right? What you say? Talking about divorce? Remarriage to another spouse after divorce is adultery. Okay. If you go in there and Luke, if you have sex with somebody, that's Matthew chapter 7 too, right? Or Matthew chapter 6? Matthew chapter 5, Matthew chapter 5, Sermon on the Mount. Luke talking about the same thing, right? Where you're talking about if you're with somebody and that person cheats, they make you an adulterer as well. But also the only thing that is allowed to cause divorce is when somebody forces you into adultery by cheating on you because they've broken the marriage contract. At that point, you have a decision to make. Will you stay with them or not? Now, Yahshua wants for you, the same Yahshua that's talking about that wants for you to go ahead and still be married, if at all able, right? And to forgive and to move on together, right? But you give the person the choice. When you commit adultery, you give the person the choice. That's the law, right? That's the law that's written. It's actually lawful to do that, right? But there have to be specific things in order to allow you to do that, correct? Of course I like law. I believe in law. I listen to law. We speak from law. Everything's about law. We're going to show you. So this is why they want you to be wrong. We've already talked about this. People already trying to find the one thing. If I can find the one thing, right? Didn't I just say people who share my same canon are going to come out here and say, I'm going to find one thing wrong. You see what I'm saying? You said laws can't be broken. Those are rules. Yeah, well, laws can't be broken, which is a very interesting conversation because people who break the law. So put it like this: when somebody breaks the law, there's a consequence, right? Matter of fact, if you want to get into legal terminology, if you speak a truth in court, you have to come with stipulations, correct? Some people will say correct. Some people don't know what I'm talking about. If I go into a courtroom, I say I'm going to prove this thing to be true. It means I have to have stipulations. That means that if I prove that something's correct, now I get to tell you stipulation. I get to tell you, because this is true, this is what you'll pay me. This is what you'll do to leave me alone. This is what I need you to do to tell me how I'll never be back in this situation again. This is why there's, double jeopardy. You will not try me for the same thing that I just proved truth in, etc., right? Because truth comes with stipulations. Elohim's law can't be broken. Man's law is statutory or communal. Well, so that's actually a very interesting conversation too, right? So let's get into this law, right? Let's get into this law. I can't hit all the comments. I apologize. I'm trying my best to. As you can see, there's almost 700 of us on concurrently. That's a lot for me. I'm only a human being, right? And law in this flesh only allows me to do but so much, right? So please hang in there. I'm gonna try my best to answer as much as I can. But let's at least finish this next part, and then maybe we can just go straight to the question mark box if you want to leave your questions, and we can try and hit those before we get ready to take our leave. Here we go. So laws. This is why they need you to be wrong. Because this is what law does. This is how law sets things in order, right? This is how, thank you for that. I saw somebody say, don't apologize, no problem. No, you're good, Space. I wasn't talking to you. There's just so many people from so many different platforms. Remember, we're not just on TikTok. We're on the podcast. We're on Facebook. Eventually, I'm going to have to come back and help people out through YouTube. So let's deal with this, all right? Laws. What we're operating in first and foremost, the first law that I'm operating in, obviously, is kingdom law, right? Kingdom law. As a king or a queen, right? And if we're talking about king in a spiritual sense, there's neither male nor female. So you can be in the spirit, you can be a king and be a female. You can be a king and be a male, right? In the spirit, right? Because spiritually speaking, in heaven, there is neither male nor female in heaven, right? So you can be male or female in heaven. You can be male or female and be a king. But kings and queens, for people who like kings and queens, because I don't want to be somebody who seems like I'm offensive, right? So kings and queens, let's make sure the law is correct, is what king dominates. Whatever a king decrees, it shall be established. And the king himself shall be establishing it. So if you're going to be sovereignty, if you're going to own business, if you're going to own yourself, not be a straw man, not be an artificial person, but a natural person, if you're going to do things that help people along the way, if you're going to help people to get to their proper path and to their proper destination, to their proper goals, etc., and you're going to do it by ruling your environment. See, in our culture, you don't rule over people, you rule over an environment. And many people are trying their best to rule over people rather than rule over an environment. Matter of fact, you go to a job where people rule over you and don't make sure they create an environment that is peaceful, right? That's what happens a lot. So kingdom laws. First of all, we're coming through kingdom laws, and people are trying their best to tell you, don't call yourself king or queen. People are trying their best to tell you why you shouldn't worry about being a sovereign. People are trying their best to tell you that, hey, just be part of the United States corporation, not knowing that the corporation in the United States is different than the United States of America. The corporation, look up how they put that together, 1866, 1871, so on and so forth, right? Like kingdom laws. Kingdom should be established. Matter of fact, you're in the Republic of the United States of America. A republic is a kingdom. And when you were a child, they taught you, if you were in the United States of America, if you were somewhere else, they taught you to maybe do, something similar with your another flag. But they taught you to do what? To pledge allegiance to a flag of the United States of America and to the republic, to the kingdom for which it stands. Then you would be one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For a while, depending on your age range, you might have said one nation, indivisible, or one nation under God, right? Which is not even Elohim, but that's another deity. But one nation under God with liberty and justice for all. Then you swore allegiance to this flag or this standard. The standard is a flag. The flag is a standard. And that flag is not even representative of the United States of America. That flag actually, if you study history, that flag is actually something that said that the Moors and now other countries allow America to be able to give trade. So when we tell somebody these laws and try to get them to understand you're in a kingdom already and you have a head of state is a monarch. So you're in a monarchy. A head of state is a king or a faux king. He's a king that they put in front of you that you would think that is a king. So you think that Obama was working for you. He was working for the government. You think that Trump was working for you. He was working for the government. And the government, by definition of capitalism, has to actually work for private corporations. If you didn't know that, look up the definition of capitalism. That's another kingdom. It's a system of capital, right? Whoever has capital is the king or queen. Look up the definition. Google it right now if you want and come right back, right? But I promise you, I'm going to hit it for you. Capitalism is defined as when politics and economics, capitalism is a system in which politics and economics are used to be able to control your trade and your industry, right? Take away your sovereignty. That trade and industry is controlled rather than the state or the country, right? Or 50 states. It's rather than be controlled, trade and industry controlled by the country or the state. Capitalism actually is defined as when private corporations tell the state or the country or the head of state or the governor or the mayor or the president or the Senate or the judges, etc., and when they tell them what to do. That's what capitalism is. You're living in a kingdom right now. But because you deny kingdom law, I don't have to be under law, you're under somebody else's law. And the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, the violent take it by force. They're taking everything you have by force because somebody taught you not to be into kingdom law. Somebody told you not to have something that protects your rights. Not just your rights for now, but your eternal rights. And by the way, the kingdom of heaven is supposed to be where? Inside of you. It's supposed to be in here. So you're busy having somebody who's not trying to do anything for you or inside of you and listening to their law, being governed by it, rather than becoming sovereign so that you can be your own king or queen over your own land, which is allotted. Right, and we have classes for this stuff, so I'm saying some terms or some things that maybe for some people don't even make sense. But I'm trying to tell you, like, you don't know there's two constitutions. When you learn there's two constitutions, you realize real quick, wait a minute, there's two constitutions. Wait a minute, there's been three constitutions total because there was a constitution before George Washington. There were 8 presidents before him. He's the 9th president. Therefore, when we say he's the first president, I've been lied to about that. And wait a minute, or somewhere around 1866, that means that right after. Or is it right before or right during? I guess it would be during President Grant. That means that they made a whole nother constitution. Right? We're going to be under, right? All this stuff. Kingdom law. Kingdom law. These are laws. Laws are established to do what? To protect your rights. And here we are not having any rights and trying to figure out why we don't have rights. Why don't I feel like I have the right to do this? Why can't I have the right to say I want to take? Like, if you want to take the shot, take it. If you don't want to take the shot, don't take it, right? But people are trying to say you must take something. Why is it that you must take it and you must be considered to be evil if you don't take it when you have the right to be able by even the 14th Amendment, the same 14th Amendment that says that you're not really free and that you're part of the corporation, the same 14th Amendment type citizen. Also, that same 14th Amendment says that you still have the right to where the state, the government, can't force you to do something with your body. So if you want to take something, take it. If you don't, don't. And either way, I'm not going to judge you. That's for Yahweh to do. I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in. That's not my goal. That's not anything I'm trying to establish. I took my hands off of that a long time ago when I was young, when I was a teenager, and realized, wait a minute, only the Most High can tell people who goes to heaven and hell. That helped me out a lot. Kingdom law. It protects me from getting into some wild conversation with people that want me to say all these people are evil and all these people are great and all these people are no. Like, kingdom law protects me from that. Right? But let's go over some other laws, right? Because then people don't want to deal with something. Why is your community in the mess that it's in? Why is the world the system that we're trying to be in but not of? Why are so many people of a corrupt system that's messing people up? Well, your community's messed up. You want to know why? Because there's laws about marriage that you're not aware of, right? Marriage, or maybe we should just call it marital law. I don't know, but there's laws about marriage, marital law, right? Did I misspell that? I feel like did I misspell marriage? I might have misspelled marriage. I mess up on that word all the time. Forgive me if I did, right? But there's marital law. As you know how messed up we are as far as marital law. I didn't mess up. Okay, thank you. So you know how messed up our marital law is, marriage is? You know how messed up we are in marital law? We're so messed up that as soon as COVID-19 hit, which is in 2019 something hit, it affected marriages in 2020 so bad that the rate of divorce popped up to 75%. In 1 year? 1 year you went from 50%, one out of every 2 marriages is going to end in divorce, so you went to 75%, 3 out of 4? In 1 year, that happened. Because people didn't even know how to be married. Your community is based off of marriage. I'm not using facts, I'm not using context, I'm using contextual facts. This is why they want us to be wrong, because they'll try to give you some facts without context. They'll try to give you some context and warp the facts. I'm going to just give you contextual facts. I'm not going to tell you what I think about anything. Let me just tell you what is. Hey, shalom, Sister Benet. I was just literally thinking about you, how we need to catch up on some things, how I need to send you some stuff still and possibly, make a little run through sometime in the near future, right? But I was just thinking about you. I was just praying for you this rise, and I'm glad to see you on. You and your husband were on my mind, right? Marital law. Marital law. Marital law. We are off so much on marital law, and marital law protects the rights of marriage. Think about that. Marital law does what? It protects the rights of marriage. Right? So here people are giving up marriage. People are looking for their way out the door. People are looking for divorce. People are looking for prenuptial agreements so that you're agreeing on how you can already run out the door and keep everything that you had, that you came in there with. You're already planning your escape. Here you are talking about my children are the best thing that ever happened to me. My spouse is somewhere in there, but my children are the greatest thing. My spouse, he could leave me, but my children will never leave me. Your children are supposed to leave you at some point. You train up the child so that they can leave you and be successful without you. They're going to have their own husband. They're going to have their own wife. But the only person you're supposed to become one with is your spouse. Marital law. Right? Principles messed up because you don't have the marital law together. Right? I study my children. I want my children to be successful. I want my daughters to look at me and be like, hey, this is what a husband is. I want my sons to look at me and say, this is what a husband is. I want my sons to look at their mother and say, I want to marry somebody like that. I want my daughters to look at my wife and say, this is what a wife is. I want all that. I want all that. Respect on all that. But at the end of the day, I'm not one with any of them except my wife. Matter of fact, it's perverted to be one with any of them. It's perverted. Right? Look, I done the single father thing, homeless, in the street, then had a 1-bedroom and stuff like that. I never told my little girl that she was the woman of the house. Right? There's no benefit in telling your son at age 6, at age 10, at age 14, hey, you're the man of this house. You're not the man of this house because you can't become one with me. Marital law protects his mind so that he won't have a mindset that he gets to tell his mother what to do and starts becoming a mama's boy more than he should be somebody that loves his mama, respects his mama, honors his mama, but would be one with his wife. Marital law. Let's jump to the next one. I feel like Ruach HaKodesh, she said that that's enough of that. Either you got it or you didn't. Amen. Right? What is it? Gender norms. If somebody's hitting this with us, right? They got to hit the one thing that we're wrong. What was that? I don't even know. There's so many things coming up. I can't get to it because gender norms are weird, right? Well, first of all, gender just is jancha, genealogy, jancha, gender, jancha, All of that simply means the style of somebody as far as their culture is concerned. So once again, this is a certain standard, right? Now, we still love people regardless, right? But if you have decided to pick up somebody else's culture or style and how you represent a man or a woman, then that's what gender means. Male and female is sex. Gender means how somebody from another culture decide, or how different cultures decide to do stuff. For example, in Greek culture, it was okay for men, it was socially acceptable for men to mess with 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old boys. Matter of fact, the reason why you have, platonic relationships is because Plato was somebody who messed with little boys. And he taught people that the weirdest relationship, this is what Plato taught. I'm not saying that this for everybody. I'm just literally telling you why we have certain genders, right? So the gender that says that some people think it's okay to mess with little children is because Plato taught platonic relationships, platonic relationships. He taught that the worst relationship to have, the weirdest one to have, was between a husband and a wife. He said that the best relationship that one could have would be a man. He didn't even say a woman, which shows you that there's cognitive dissonance, right? Even in his own belief system. But he said that a man at age 40 plus should be able to mess with a little boy that's in his preteen years, or early teenage years, and he said that was what was there. So if anybody tries to tell me I have a platonic relationship, I don't do those. I don't speak that over my life. That's somebody else's culture. That's somebody else doing some wild stuff. That's wilding, right? That's wild. Like, to mess with a little boy like that, I wouldn't do that, right? But that's somebody not comprehending culture. You see what I'm saying? So somebody's trying to talk about gender. Gender means the style of a culture. So that's why when you go to African countries and people come from Germany and people come from France and people come from America and say, hey, we'd help you guys out, but you're not making sure that you keep teaching people about LGBTQ+, they say, well, time out. If that's what you do, that's fine, but that's not a problem over here, because over here in our country, that's not our gender. That's not our style for men and women. If you want to do that over there, feel free to. It doesn't mean we hate you. It doesn't mean that we hate somebody if they do it here. We'll love them. Even over here, like, there's this weird thing of, they try to find a few people that are beat up or something in Africa and say all Africans hate LGBTQ+. No, like, we love a lot of people. We know there's people undercover. Like, heck, here in America, a lot of us know that there's an uncle that we have. You in the black community, you got that uncle, you got that auntie, and you know that they out there. They never tell you, but they always got their friend. Their friend is really their boyfriend or girlfriend, but they won't call them that. And you love them, and you make sure you give them a plate, and auntie and uncle a plate. You know what I'm saying? But it's not our culture. So they know, since it's not our culture, you're bringing something else in here that would be detrimental to our culture, the way we lead life. And so therefore, when you come here, just be respectful. And we'll respect you. And when we go, if we happen to go over your house, then we know that you're going to let it out. You're going to let it hang out. You're going to show us what y'all do. You're going to show us your pictures. You're going to be dressed the way you like to be dressed and all those things. And guess what? Like, we have no problem, right? We respect each other. Right? If I'm going to come to your house and you happen to be whatever you want to call yourself, gay, cis, or binary, non-binary, etc., whatever you want to call yourself, right? Lesbian, etc., queer, whatever, then if I go to your place, I understand that's what I'm walking into. And therefore, it's not my right as a sovereign. You're a sovereign, I'm a sovereign. I believe everybody should have their rights. So if I walk into your place, I comprehend. I'm going to respect what's going on, this and that, or whatever. If I don't want to respect it, I don't come by. But they try to have us against each other. But anyways, kingdom law, marital law. Next thing up. This is gonna mess up some people, but let's talk about this type of law, because everybody wants to talk about this type of law, but then they don't want to follow it. Right? This is why they want you to be wrong. They got to change definitions. Universal law. Right now, those who were with us for Early Rise of Bible Study, you already got it. We went into this in extreme depth. We talked about this actually last week a lot, leading up to this week, but we went into the extreme depth for those who were on the Early Rise of Bible Study that we do every Monday rising. So we went into this already. And I'm sorry for those who are on TikTok if we disappeared for a second. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure that our battery life is good on TikTok. Hold on. Okay, all right. So we're back. Everything's good to go. So we went on. So you got kingdom law, you got marital law, then you got universal law. Universal law. Thank you, Crispy. Then you got universal law. You have universal law. What is universal law? Universal law is supposed to be universal, but what does universe mean? People want you to believe universe is space. There's multiple universes. There's the multiverse. There's this, that. Uni means one. Verse means a spoken sentence. So if something is universal, it must come out of a spoken sentence. That's what universe is. Exactly, one sentence. It's one spoken sentence. I know we change definitions. We listen to music. We want the music to have verses and all this stuff, right? But universe literally means one spoken sentence. That's why we say in Badashit, you would call it Genesis because you speak of from another culture. But in Badashit, we would say, in beginning, Elohim created at heaven, at earth, or towards heaven, towards earth first before he created everything else, right? That's a spoken sentence, right? But if you don't like that spoken sentence, let's go to the first sentence he spoke. Let there be enlightenment. And there was enlightenment. That's a universe. By definition. So people say something's universal. Well, by definition, everybody who speaks on the universe is saying that it was a sentence that was spoken. You can't talk about a universe without talking about what was spoken. So my question is, if you believe in the universe, my next question is, well, what is the single spoken sentence that you believe created everything, or that everything fits inside it? I mean, I'm just talking about law. Like let's not go to emotion and all this stuff. I'm just telling you, what does law say? If something's universal law, it must come from somebody who spoke a sentence, and from that sentence spoke everything into existence. We can call it energy, this and that, or whatever, fine. Well, energy had to find a way to be able to have a mouth, have a brain, and have the ability to speak. Now, if you're trying to say energy speaks, right, then okay, that's another conversation we can have, and I'm not mad at it. I'm just talking about the standard of what you say. We got to learn what words are. It's like when people say psychology and don't know that psyche or psyche in the Greek literally means the soul, but then they'll tell you they don't believe in the spirit and the soul. Well, time out. If you don't believe in the soul, then you can't talk about psychology, because psychology literally studies my soul. Right? This is law. This is why they want you to be wrong. They got to redefine words, and we talked about this yesterday. We talked about this in the live session, or in our early Rising Bible study for those who joined on YouTube early on Monday Risings. Right? Like, we talked about the fact that, hey, you can't if you're gonna keep redefining. If you keep redefining, then you're gonna have a problem with refining. In other words, if you don't know how to define something, something is fine. This is what it is. It's intact. It's beautiful. It's worth something. It is fine. Right? If I define it, what I'm doing is I'm deconstructing what is fine. Right? People keep talking about, give me the definition of. Definition literally means I've arrived at a place because of what has defined something. I looked at what something was defined as, and I used what it was defined to get to a place of definition. Right? And you can't have reformation because you don't know what definition is. You don't even know how to define correctly. You don't even know what the word is when it was fine. See, the word was already fine. We came and defined it and twisted it and tried to redefine it, or refine it even. But you can't refine something until you even know what it's defined as. I don't know if everybody caught all those words, but I think that makes sense, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be in a position. Yeah, they use the truth to manipulate you. And that's why we even tell people, even if you don't like the Bible, guess what? If you're in any kind of constitutional law around the world, they're all based off this, right? Or even if it's based off of Sharia law says it's supposed to agree with certain things in this too. So you better learn this, whether you like it or not. Whether you believe in the Most High or not, whether you want to call him Yahweh Elohim or not, whether you want to argue that he's Jesus, whether you want to argue that it's Yesus or Yesu, whether you want to argue that he's I'm forgetting the other term I was trying to say. Forgive me, right? But whatever you want to Yashua, whatever you want to learn and call him, whatever. At the end of the day, universal law, anything that's universal has to come from the person who spoke a single sentence. That's the definition. Now you can redefine it to be able to make it whatever you want it to be, but the definition is the definition. The etymology is the etymology. You said, yeah, you take the part of the definition that fits your agenda, boss. That's not cool to teach that way. No, I'm telling you what the word tell me where I'm wrong. If I did that, let's give you your couple minutes of fame real quick, and then we're gonna move on. Tell me where I'm wrong. Fine. What is fine? If something is fine, does that mean it's intact? Right? If somebody says that your bone is fine, they're saying it's intact. Now, if I define it, I'm just giving you context and facts. You can be mad at it. That doesn't have to be your standard. If you're okay with redefining, that's fine. But if something is fine, that means it's intact. If I define it, I'm destructing what is fine. Now, if I redefine it, then that means that I'm going to go through a process of over and over again, repetitively destructing what is fine so that I can keep saying that the ideal wants to be there. I don't seem to be I'm trying to find out. So redefine, and then when I put a T-I-O-N, by the way, on any word, or some languages it's Sion, right? That'd be a C-I-O-N. So some languages, they'll do this right here, right? right? But if I put a T-I-O-N on the end of a word, then all I'm saying is now that's a noun. It's a person, a place, or a thing. So by definition, what I'm saying is that something had to be deconstructed that was intact or fine so that I could arrive at a place or be a person or do something today. If I redefine it, it means I repetitively deconstruct something that is already intact so that I can be a person, place, or thing that I want to be today. So I'm not redefining anything. I'm telling you we should go by what is fine. We should not worry about what is repetitively done to deconstruct. And if you're in a place or person or position, well, first figure out what the thing that was intact that you needed. If you had just simply had finition, right? If you had just left what was alone to allow you to become the person you need to be, then you'd be fine. But you keep trying to deconstruct what is there as far as law so that you don't have to be obedient, even though obedience is better than sacrifice. And now you're trying to figure out why the sacrifices you're making aren't getting you what you want. I'm just showing you words. I'm showing you what is. Now, you can say I'm wrong to teach that. If that's what you say, your standard is wrong, where I shouldn't say people shouldn't repetitively deconstruct what's already intact to help you to be the person you're supposed to be, then that's fine. That's literally fine. That's intact. You're sovereign. I'm sovereign. Do what you do, right? But as a sovereign being, I have the right to look at the word for what it actually is. I didn't lie to you. I just gave you accuracy, right? But people, once again, they have to find. Remember, we started off with this. People have to say this is why. People have to say that you're wrong. Because if I find one thing that's wrong, then I can say that you're wrong about some things. Then I can say you're wrong about anything. Then I can say you're wrong about all things, and then and then I can attack your source. But if my source is correct, then I come from, then I leave my emotions at the door, and I just simply say that I'm going to help you. I'm going to just simply be right about, go to the source of all, who created all one thing, therefore would be right about one thing, therefore could be possibly right about some things, which could mean that he could be right about anything, which means that he could be right about all things. Right? But this is a standard. You don't have to live by the standard. Right? You don't have to live by the standard. But once again, universe, one verse, one spoken sentence. If you're going to talk about universe, you can't talk about the universe and not deal with who spoke the sentence. Right? If you don't believe in a universe, then don't use the word universe, is what I'm saying. So if you believe that that space is there, fine, but don't say that space is part of the universe. If you say that space is part of the universe, you have to go to the person who spoke space into existence by definition. All right. That's not me twisting anything. That's just me being apologetically sound. Next, after universal law, here's another law people don't want to talk about. Natural law. Natural law. Natural law. Right? Because that means if I'm right about this stuff in nature, if nature agrees with what I say, then that means that somebody's either naturally right or naturally wrong. Now that's one that's going to mess a lot of people up. That's one that really is going to get people upset. Right? There's natural law. Because if I'm right about nature, hear what I'm saying? Right? I'm another cultist? Okay. So once again, thank you for coming in and proving exactly what was going to happen. That people are going to come on and find something to say that everything I'm saying is wrong and hasn't even necessarily listened to anything that we've said. But we appreciate you. Thank you. So it was going to be about natural law. Right? Natural law. If it was going to be about natural law, then that means somebody's either naturally correct or naturally inaccurate. You're naturally accurate, you're naturally inaccurate. You're naturally correct or you're naturally incorrect. That's law. Law protects rights. So naturally you do things that protect your right, or you naturally do things that do not protect your right. So either you're naturally protected by what you do, or you're naturally non-secure. Right? People don't want to talk about laws, but these are laws. People don't want to have this conversation, but these are laws. I'm talking about law. That's why we got to go to law. Law is concrete. It protects rights. It is what it is. Right? Any law, by the way, that has to change. This is why you got to be careful about evolutionary laws and things like that. Theoretical laws, any kind of theoretical law, right? The law of gravity. Gravity is a theory that was disproven because gravity doesn't mean what you think it means. Gravity is not what holds you down. Gravity is supposed to be what puts you in place. You can't go side to side, up, down, this and that. And even Sir Isaac Newton, at the end of his life, didn't want his name on the theory of gravity, right? Because the theory of gravity, it was a theory. It was disproven even by another person that people love to bring up, and not just Sir Isaac Newton, but in Einstein, Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity disproved the theory of gravity, and even Albert Einstein's theory has been disproven since, right? But people don't know that. They don't give you that in school. They just say, oh yeah, gravity, Sir Isaac Newton. Theory of relativity, Albert Einstein. They don't tell you that both of those have been disproven, right? Because neither one was natural. Because neither one was universal. Neither one is something you should be married to, and neither one is something supported by the kingdom. Law protects rights. It will protect a whole bunch of stuff. Somebody said, okay, right? But I'm telling you, study what I'm saying. Tell me if the theory of relativity is something that's been disproven. Study if the theory of gravity was something that's been disproven. See what I'm saying? Somebody hits you with the okay. You gotta be real quick. Right? Because they don't want to look at law. They learn something, they're emotionally tied to it, their belief system causes them to be emotionally tied to it, and the culture that they want to be into has to say that this belief system is intact so that their emotions could be there. If not, now they have certain feelings that are off, their mood has changed, their effort or energy is all over the place, and their habits now can't be formed correctly. I'm just telling you law, what is. This is by your science. A lot of you guys' science that you're going to go to, you're going to send your children to, they're going to go. Well, make sure your children learn this. When they teach about Albert Einstein in school and they come home with a homework assignment, ask your children if the teacher told them that Einstein's theory of relativity has been disproven. Ask them when they learn about things that they tell you are natural. For example, they're going to tell you 666 means protons, neutrons, electrons. Ask them if there's a such thing as a neutron, because you'll find out that a neutron is a theory. There's no proof. They've never seen a neutron. Then they try to come up with something called neutrinos. They've never seen a neutrino. They say that they've seen energy and stuff, but they say neutrinos can't have mass, but they must have mass because they change. Because as far as they comprehend, something that has mass can't be there. And the reason why they came up with neutrons is because they found that protons and electrons actually lose energy, like energy just goes away. And they were taught, we were taught in school, their theory, which is that energy has to keep going. Energy can never stop. But when they were blowing up protons and neutrons basically to have atom bombs, they realized that, wait a minute, like these protons and electrons, we don't know what happens to the energy. So somebody said, well, maybe there's this invisible thing that's neutral called neutrons. They've never seen a neutron, though. It's not natural to see a neutron, but you were taught that, right? This is why you got to be wrong about everything, because if you start questioning something, right, and you say, well, this neutron thing's not right, then it leads you to a neutrino, and then the neutrino thing leads you to the mass thing, and that mass thing leads you to the energy thing, and the energy leads you to a place where you're like, wait a minute, do you know what you're talking about? You hear what I'm saying? This is law, natural law. And so it is people's, whether they want to hear this or not, it is in somebody's nature sometimes to be wrong about everything. Because the law that you follow, the law you don't comprehend. It can be in somebody's nature to be ignorant. What'd you say? Once again, see, that's what'd you say? Somebody said energy. I caught it a little bit. Energy is not lost or gained. That's not true. The reason why they came up with the theory of neutrons is because when they found that protons and electrons were blowing up, they could not figure out what was happening with protons and electrons because the energy was going away. It wasn't shifting to something else. And so they came up with a theory, and this theory led to something called neutrons. That theory led to because they couldn't find neutrons. They have no ability to find neutrons, and they said, well, neutrons have to have mass, but we can't find it, so we got to figure out how to make something fit into that theory. So they came up with neutrinos, and they literally even have like a huge like thing of water. It's like supposed to be the clearest, purest water or whatever. It's this huge tank, and they run a test where they run stuff through the entire world, around through the whole world. So they say they find neutrinos, which is another thing they had to make up to say that they could find it. And they said the neutrinos can't really have have to have mass. Therefore, neutrons come from neutrinos that have to have mass. Like, it's a whole thing. You can read it, right? I'm not here to go ahead and go through these things, but I'm here to tell you that, right, like what they're telling you is not correct, because they still can't prove to you that energy will never be lost if they had to make up neutrons and neutrinos to be able to tell you how protons and electrons are losing energy. They don't know how these protons and electrons are losing energy. We were taught it's going to have to go into something else. No, they said like clearly. This is not me. This is the people who came up with these theories that you're talking about to use. They say the reason we are studying neutrinos still to this day. They don't tell you this. This isn't something that you're going to find all over the place. You have to reach for it. They're not going to teach you this in school, right? Once again, energy is not transformed to lost. That's a theory that they had from the late 1800s, early 1900s. But when they started making atom bombs, they saw clearly, even they had signs of it before, but when they started making atom bombs, they were like clearly, like there was no such thing as neutrons until after the atom bombs. They came up with neutrons, what is it, 1940s, I believe? And they had to come up with neutrinos in the 50s, 60s, right? And they're still saying that they're lost on what a neutrino is because they made up what a neutron was to be able to have this theory keep on going that energy can't be lost or transformed or any of that. Quantum physics. Okay. All I'm telling you is do some research on. Matter of fact, let me ask you to go and, for those of you who have the ability to, maybe some of you who are talking about science actually have a microscope, take your microscope out and go as low as you can, right? Or see if you can find somebody who can show you on their pictures of what they've looked at in microscopes. Ask them to show you a picture of a neutron. And then ask them to show you a picture of a neutrino. And you will discover that there is no such thing. They can show you a picture of a proton. They can show you a picture of an electron. They cannot show you a picture of a neutron. Right, they redefined it. Matter of fact, they had to make up the word neutron, and then they had to redefine neutron and say that it comes from neutrinos because they had to make up neutrino, and they still don't know what a neutrino is, so soon you'll find something else to be able to say is on a neutrino, but all of it's based on a lunacy or a fallacy or something that's not even scientific. There is no scientific merit to it because they cannot show you off of any type of experimentation where neutrinos exist. It's not natural, but people are going to fight to say that it's natural. Why? It's in their nature to be about something that's not universal. See, they tried to speak it into existence. That's their universe. They have there is a multiverse. That's their universe. They tried to speak a neutron into existence. No such thing. That's their universe. That's their spoken sentence. There's neutrinos and neutrons because energy can't. We told everybody energy can't, be transformed or lost or anything. So I guess there's neutrons. They okay, cool, neutrons. Right, there was an Italian group of people. You can look them up. There were five guys who came together who came up with this theory of neutrons. One of them disappeared. Later on, he showed up in Russia. He was talking about neutrinos about 10 years later, 15 years later. And people are still trying to figure out what a neutrino is. Because they said it, well, just because they said it exists, they spoke a sentence doesn't mean that it's really universal, because if it was universal, then it'd be real. Right? It'd be real, but it's not real. It's a theory. It's a theory that keeps being disproven on every single thing they do, just like the Higgs particle, the God particle, all those things. It's not universal. It's not natural. This is natural. Right? This is nature. This is natural. This is nature. Love of self is natural. That's nature. But people are not into natural law. They're not into law. Learning the nature of something would protect you. So what is gravity? Gravity, once again, is supposed to be what holds you down. It's supposedly supposed to be what also stops you from going side to side. It's supposed to stop you from going up so far. It's supposed to be what holds, takes care of stuff as far as inertia. That's why, like, even in space, they can't really explain how planets and everything stay where they are and how the Earth doesn't get closer to the sun and all this stuff. They really can't do it through gravity. So now they come up with something called dark matter. That's another theory. If you haven't heard about dark matter is supposedly supposed to be... Now, they tell you straight up, we believe there's dark matter, but we don't know what dark matter is. That's faith, right? That's faith. They don't want to call it faith, but that's what we have. When we have faith in the kingdom, they say that we're crazy. They call you all types of names. They say that you're not going to make it that far in life, having faith in things that you can't see. But they tell you that there's dark matter they can't see. They tell you, hey, you can't explain where Yah came from, but you can't explain where the Big Bang thing came from. But they say that we lack faith, or that we have faith in something, and we lack faith in what they have. See, you're dealing with, they want to use this term wrongly, of course, religion, because religion just means a legion of people that repetitively do something over and over again. But they're just as religious as you. They have to have as much faith as you have to have, because they don't have anything that proves it. We talked about, if you want to look up on YouTube, look up #FindKofi. Look on there. We have a video uploaded there from last week, was it, or whenever? I'm talking about the 6 types of evolution. They can only prove that one type of evolution exists, and it's really not evolution. It's just when you have sex with different people, people have slight differences between you. And if species, like a wolf can have different sex with different types of ones in their species, you can get dogs that come out of that, right? It doesn't mean that they evolved. It means that they sexually had sex. They mated. They did these things. They were forced to breed, whatever, and you came up with these different breeds of an animal. But all dogs come from the wolf. They didn't evolve, so all dogs are basically wolves. I don't care if it's a Chihuahua. I don't care if it's a lap dog. I don't care if it's a pincher. I don't care if it's a Doberman. I don't care whatever it is. I don't care if it's a bulldog. It's a wolf. It might not look like the wolves that you're afraid of, but it's a wolf, right? But they'll call that evolution. So out of the 6 types of evolution, that's the only, they call that microevolution. That's the only one they can prove, right? Because evolution's not true. Then they say, well, we lined up a bunch of bones. And we say, yeah, but you've changed that over and over again, because lining up a bunch of bones in an order and saying that something had to come before the other doesn't mean that that's real. That means that that's a theory that you have, and you had to keep redefining that theory because it was all wrong in the first place. It's not natural. You said deprogramming of the natural human and recreation of the transhuman. I mean, I'm not exactly sure 100% what you mean, so I don't want to come into that. But basically, like, they all came from the same. That's natural, right? So you got natural law. You got all these things. What about this? Here's another law. We can keep going with these laws over and over again, right? You got law of attraction, right? If you do certain things, you attract certain things to you. Now, somebody comes out with a book called The Secret not too long ago, and everybody likes the book. You said we are not going to get started on the dinosaurs. Yeah, I got you, right? Even though I believe in dinosaurs, but dinosaurs are, I don't know why people don't just look at what the word says and what science says as far as dinosaurs. It's actually more simple with that. But laws of attraction, what's attracted to you? You're attracting certain things because of what you are, what you do, or what you're around. Not that hard, right? Laws of attraction. Somebody comes up with a book and says, oh, yeah, you can speak something to exist. And everybody says, see, you don't need the kingdom. Well, the kingdom, they've been telling you about the law of attraction for a long time ago. The kingdom never said that you can't speak something into existence. The kingdom said, be careful what you speak into existence. The kingdom said that you got to be in touch with universal law to be able to speak stuff into existence. It told you that you have to be a natural person to be able to make sure you attract the right thing. And here are people telling you the laws of attraction. You don't know anything. It's all about the law of attraction. The law of attraction has to fit all these. Heck, marriage, attraction. What are men attracted to? Men are attracted to things that submit to them. That's why the man will take care of his car. He'll take care of his car. Why? Because the car gets from point A to point B. He likes the fact that it gets from point A to point B, so he'll shine them rims up. He'll take it to the car wash. He'll do whatever he has to do to make sure that that car is taken care of, because that thing that transports him and serves him, he wants to serve it. He wants to submit to what submits to him. Right? You're right. Why is it that a wife is looking for you to make sure that you have money and have good credit and take care of her and listen to her and help her to take care of the children, all these things? Well, because women are attracted to security, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? Like, they're attracted to it. When you figure out attraction, it helps your marriage. Right? Men do things so they can feel a certain way about it. So if you want a man to start feeling a certain way about something, allow him to do certain things or do something for him and watch him start feeling a certain way, right? Women, they feel a certain way about something, and they start doing. So, hey, find how she feels, make her feel a certain way about something, and watch what she does. Marriage, attraction. People acting like this is a new thing. Right? People acting like this is a new thing. There's nothing new about that. Right? There's nothing new about that. And by the way, even when people talk about mutation, I heard somebody talking about with the natural or the universal. When you talk about mutation, there's no such thing as a scientific mutation. Like, here's something about evolution that you need to understand too. This is just coming off of what people teach, not what I teach, but because not everybody in science believes in evolution either, which is a weird misnomer that we have out there, that everybody who's a scientist, you have to believe in evolution. No, not every scientist believes in evolution. However, for those that do, if you're talking about evolution says also too, principle of evolution says what? That if something gains something, it has to lose something. So in order for you to become a human being, right, and become smarter than a chimpanzee, that's what you believe, then you had to give up strength in order to become smarter. Right? In order for a chimpanzee to be better than a gorilla or whatever, it had to give up strength to be able to be strong, or to be able to be smarter. Right? As far as mutation, if you see a fly with an extra wing, the fly cannot fly. The mutation doesn't help. The mutation can't therefore be considered to be something that betters it in any way, shape, or form. So it wouldn't even be considered to be evolution. Right? So I'm just saying, when we listen to these words, when we listen to these things, these laws protect you. Right? Not only is there law of attraction, there's also this thing called law of first mention. This is something that has done a great service to me and my family as we have continued to move forward and what Yahweh has for us. Because if you comprehend this legal term that we would call burden of proof, it will protect you all day, every day. Law of first mention. Law of first mention goes like this. If you want to know what something actually means, how to define it, so to speak, or try to see it in it when it was fine, when it was intact, just go to when it was first mentioned. Right? So the burden of proof is not on myself, it's on those that came before me. So if I want to learn chemistry, I should probably learn where chemistry came from. Chemi actually means black. And stri is talking about like the study of, or like the study of the culture being within the culture of. But if you don't like that, just do some quick etymological type study, and you will discover that chemistry comes from chemetstry. So in order to really know what chemistry is about, you got to study what chemet's about. Law of first mention. If you want to know what a human being is, find out what the human comes from. Hue is from either the dark color or even humus. Humus is the dirt or the ground that was dark. And man means spirit. Therefore, a man, spirit, inside of a dirt body, hue must be a human being, right? To be, your being is human. It means you must be a spirit in a dirt body. What connects the spirit to the dirt body? That's what we call the soul. The psyche, the psychology. Law of first mention. If I want to know what something is, all I got to do is look to see what people said when they first started talking about it. You said, is Kemet the devil? No, not everybody out of Kemet is the devil. Are there some things that you might consider to be demonic that come out of Kemet? Sure. Are there some things that Israel better take care of too, to make sure that we aren't doing as well? Sure. Right? But to believe that everything in Kemet is demonic is not true at all. To believe that there's a pineal gland and to know that there's one in your head and to know that there's melanin is not demonic, right? So we wouldn't say that that's demonic. That's one of the reasons why people don't like to talk about race. Because if we talk about race, we got to talk about chemetstry. Even though Israelites have Kemet in them. They have Kemetic blood. Said the law of first mention? Just look up the law of first mention. Just Google it. The law of first mention. All these things that I said, these are laws. Kingdom law, marital laws, universal law. Matter of fact, marriage is sex, sex is marriage. If you don't believe, I missed that part. Real quick, let me just throw that in there too for some people that don't even understand that you're supposed to get fruit out of marriage, right? Because marriage is sex, sex is marriage. If you don't believe so, if you get married to somebody and y'all don't have sex for a few months and you go back in front of a judge and you say, Judge, we haven't had sex. We've been married 6 months. We haven't had any sex. The judge will say, is this true? If the other person says yes, guess what the judge will say? Marriage annulled. You know why? Because you have to consummate. That's why they had to change marital law, because marital law said that, hey, men can't consummate with each other, women can't consummate with each other, right? So we're going to change that. Well, so that now marriage can be what? Redefined. But marital law, no matter what type of marriage you're going down, as far as what this world says marriage is, no matter what type of law you're going down, you still have to consummate it, or else it's not considered to be marriage, right? These are laws to protect. So when people talking about we need to have more sex to do this or whatever, I comprehend. I'll be like, yeah, you probably do. You need to strengthen that bond, become one. Right now, why you're not having sex, why you don't love being with each other, why you're not impassioned about each other, why you don't want to be with each other, that's another conversation. Let's get to that, because there's some fruit that should be coming out of this that's not happening. So let's talk about these things, right? But marriage is sex, sex is marriage. That's law. It's even written in your law, which brings me to the last one, and then we're going to go ahead and leave this and take our leave, and I got to get ready. So last one is we want to talk about constitutional law. And we have classes on this. We actually have sovereignty class today. So if you're interested in being able to find out how to participate with us and stuff, this is the last, week that I would say that would be, before next Wednesday would be the last time, that I would say you can really join in, or else you probably just want to wait until we bring it back next year. But when we do our sovereignty class, but constitutional law is a mandatory thing. No matter where you live in the world, you have a constitution. What is constitutional law? constitutional law. What is constitutional law? What constitutes the laws, the things that should protect you, right? What is constitutional law? What are you one with in this institute, right? In this institute, so to speak. What are you one with? One with in this institute, so to speak, that is law, that protects you. You said the hue, the scene, the body goes back to the earth, the man, the conscious spirit goes back to Elohim. No problem with that. That's why it says to be absent from the body is to be present with Elohim. Sure, right? But check this out, right? Check this out. So constitutional law, right? So this goes back to, do you know that there are two constitutions if you're in the United States of America? Do you know there's a Constitution of the United States? Do you know there's a Constitution of the United States of America? Which law are you under? The Constitution of the United States is corporative law that says that they own you through capitalism. They're allowed to control politics and economics, right? There's no political decision, there's no economical decision that is made without somebody from a private organization or private corporation being there. It says that these politics and economics are used to control trade and industry. You don't go to a store to buy food, right? You don't have a business without making sure that somebody else has to approve it, right? And then it says that private corporations make the decisions rather than the state. It's private corporations, prisons, that decide how many people will be arrested every month. That's a fact, right? It's a fact that the Federal Reserve will have somebody walk straight from their building, which is the only building attached to the White House. Dig that. Right? The only building attached to the White House is the Federal Reserve. Have you ever thought that? Matter of fact, there might be other ones, but the only one that you can see when you go to the White House, right? I've been many a time, and you sit in front of the White House and you look at it, and right off to the side, you're gonna see this building. That's the Federal Reserve building, and it's the only one that above ground. They want you to see. They want you to physically see that above ground there is a tunnel that you can see. People walk from one building to the White House, or from the White House to the other building. It means that the Federal Reserve is the only building. They want you to know publicly that they're the only people that can walk over and tell people who are in the United States Corporation, this is what you will tell your people to do. They're the only institution connected to the White House. And people still don't get that you are trying to deal with something because you're in the wrong constitution. There's a Constitution of the United States of America. They don't have influence over that. They have influence, but let me say they don't have control over that, right? But many of you are stuck in this Constitution of the United States, where somebody who is not even an American and has a system, it governs your money. Your money, right, is a note, a Federal Reserve note. You think because it says federal, you think federal means United States of America. Federal means that somebody outside of you owns you. That's what that is. That's really what it is. I mean, I know people are going to find a definition, but I'm telling you, look at your Federal Reserve note. Every single dollar you had, that Federal Reserve note, that cash. Now, think about the fact that somebody literally at any time can go to who you think is in control, because you don't understand sovereignty and kingdom, and don't understand that president is a fake king put up to be able to, to squash the talk of the nation that you're in, right? So that they can walk over any time and tell him, you're going to do this. And he's going to say, yes, sir, boss. He's going to do the soft shoe, and he's going to come in front of you, and he's going to dance. And you're going to say, you just told us last week. Why are you telling this? Well, he can't tell you what Master said, that he ain't like what I said last week, so, I had to had to change it up. Federal Reserve is a private bank, just like the CDC. CDC saying people are like CDC guidelines this, CDC guidelines that. Why are we listening to the CDC when the CDC is not an American entity? The CDC was set up by the 14th Amendment Corporation, the Senate, and it was set up as something that's very peculiar. It was set up, this is what the CDC is. The CDC is a privately owned, right? So privately owned, for-profit, non-profit. You can go on the CDC and look that up for yourself. The CDC website, they tell you this. The CDC is a privately owned and for-profit, non-profit. And it's not subject to the United States, nor the United States of America. But if you don't know constitutional law, somebody hitting you upside the head with that. Well, we talk about this. We have to talk about a lot of this stuff in class because people try to shut us down when we talk too deep about this. So I have limits as far as what I can do. But we do stuff on Zoom. We do other things. So feel free to contact us. I'll put a little bit of information up on TikTok. Those that are watching on YouTube, those that are watching on Facebook, those that are going to listen to this later on the podcast. We have our information in the description box for you all. But we'll put a little thing up at the end where you can take a screenshot real quick and try and get in contact with this. But this is constitutional law. So you guys will go and talk about my constitutional right? First Amendment. Well, time out. Are you a United States citizen? Are you a citizen of the United States of America? If you're part of the corporation and you're talking about a straw man, and a straw man doesn't have any rights. Your birth certificate is legally what they're dealing with. Heck, if you sit out here using your social security number, forget the fact that your social security number means that you're getting benefits and privileges taken, right? Which means that you have to pay taxes and all that stuff. The fact that you're using your social security number is illegal to use as a form of identification. Matter of fact, if some of you have older social security numbers, if you've been able to keep your original one somewhere, go look at those original ones, or go look at pictures of old social security cards. You will find that on the bottom right hand corner of them, you will find so not over here, not on top, but you have a number that'll be like in the middle, then you have off to the side. You will find that it will say do not use as identification. Yet they will illegally tell you can't get a job with a social security number. You don't have to, though. That's why they say, well, you can use your social and your driver's license. Those are things that they say make you part of the corporation. So they say you can use your social and your driver's license if you want to use it to get the job, right? Or you can use what? Your passport. Passport is what you can use. Now, you need to change your passport, and we talk about that in our sovereignty class. Matter of fact, we've already talked about that in our sovereignty class. We'll go into some more stuff tonight about that. But we've already talked in our sovereignty class and shown a video about somebody who has more knowledge of this than I, that literally just shows you this is how you use your social security number. This is how you get off the do not detain list. This is how you can save money on your insurance. This is how you don't have to have, if you don't want to have a driver's license anymore, you don't have to. This is, you don't have to use social security number to get a bank account. Like, all these things are truth. Right? All these things are truth. Why would you come on somebody's stuff where we talk to tell them that they talk too much? That's not natural. You might want to change your name, Nature, but we appreciate it. People need to be better, even if they're going to say stuff to try and get on you. But anyway, so I'm done. I got to get ready to take my leave. And, so I'll try to hit some of these questions real quick. I've got to go. So I see something on there. Can you get a link to the class tonight? Okay, Shea Butter. Try to DM me if you can, and I'll try to make sure to look at the DMs and look for you. Or actually, I'll take a screenshot. Let me take a screenshot, and I can try to remember to get you the link. I might send it through your DM, so I'm on TikTok. Somebody says, what's my thoughts on astrology? Astrology, the study of the stars? Sure. Astro and all that stuff, and astronaut and all that, you might want to study what those words mean. But the study of the stars, the stars are in place. Anything to do with nutrients, I'm not sure what part you were talking about, but nutrients as far as nature and things, nutrients, the only thing that actually causes death is really just nutrient deficiency. Let's see, economic, social, political, etc. You said when you start dealing with the variables out in the real world, there are different schools of thoughts. I'm still in the academic sphere. Okay, so I don't have anything spiritual that ties to the academic. The academic and the spiritual can't tie together. Okay, thank you. Now to obtain suffering/pain, minor car accident. I don't know. It depends. First of all, it depends on what you signed up for. This depends on if you know about UCC 1-308, a lot of stuff. What's my background in law? My background in law is that I study law. I study Elohim's law, and it causes me to be able to be in tune with law. And I've used it to be able to make sure that I've defended myself and my family well. So as a believer in Elohim, do I believe in astrology? Once again, the stars are okay to study. I believe in studying them as what they are, and not what somebody's trying to tell you they are. Like, for example, when people say that stars are born in this nebulous and they come out and stuff, we have no proof of that. We have proof all the time that stars end up, energy goes away. Now, they would tell us that the energy has to go somewhere, but the stars just go. They don't necessarily even blow out. Sometimes they just, like a light bulb, they just give out, and we don't know where the energy goes. They keep saying the energy has to go somewhere. That's another part with energy that we talk about, right? You said you just joined. What do I believe in? I don't know if you're still on, Ghostface. I believe in the way, the truth, and the life. I'm a follower of the way, and I believe that no man can get to the Father except through him. And somebody said, what faith do I follow? Same thing, follower of the way. I believe in the Bible. I am Yashriel. That's what I believe in. What do I think about the law of assumptions? Well, assumptions make an ass out of you and me, right? But to assume, and that's only if you assume what? Out of what? Out of fear, or out of being taught the wrong thing, or out of ignorance, or without study. Assumptions really should be made, or presumptions. Presumptions are terrible because you presume something, right? To assume something, it means that you're actually doing it in the moment. To assume something means that you're kind of like assimilating to what you're assuming. Problem with that is, what are you studying? Where are you getting that from? You know, that's what I would say. Imagine believing in something. I mean, I don't know what to do with that. Okay, thank you. But we're going to go ahead and take our leave for today. So this is why they want you to be wrong. This is why they want you to be wrong about one thing, so that means so many things they can say you're wrong about. This is why they don't want to deal with law, because law is something that when we study it, it is what it is, right? I don't really believe in zodiac signs. I have family that would tell you all about zodiac signs. I do believe that, and by the way, that we don't even go by the correct ones. If you're going to go by them, you should go where the Greeks got it from, right? And to be able to comprehend them better. But what I do believe in is people born in certain times of the year go through different struggles, or have to grow through different things that other people don't. And their times of, like, you know, turning 16, their times of turning 21, they're having to get a job, they're having to, you know, do certain things that make them a woman or a man. They come at different times of the season, therefore they have various things that are very similar. However, I don't believe that just because you were born, you know, when you should be a Leo means that you have to be fierce like a lion. You know, because I know a lot of people that are very humble and stuff like that. But then all of a sudden, when they had to protect their children, people say, see, that's the Leo in you. It's like, no, they protected their children. So do I believe that you have to conform to something like that? No, but do I believe that there's a lot of traits that are very similar for many of us and born in certain times because we have to do certain things? Yeah, there's some truth to that, of course. So what's the difference between believing and knowing? You can believe something and not know it. The word know, K-N-O-W, means to be intimate. So, like in ancient times, not just in the Bible, in ancient times, if you said, I know somebody, matter of fact, in the 16, 17, 1800s, if you said, I know so-and-so, they would say, oh, you know them. Like, that meant like you were having sex. So, if you know something, it means you live it, you're intimate with it. To believe something, you know, like there's a lot of people that believe that you should show love to everybody. That doesn't mean that they know it, doesn't mean that they do it all the time. So there's a difference between knowledge and intimate, and which is intimacy, and having intellect or intel or information, or being smart, the capacity to be able to hold intel. There's differences in all those things, right? And anyways, though, I apologize. I have to take my leave, so I'll go. So those of you who are on different platforms, you know how to look us up, or you can just look in the description box later with each one of these to be able to get more out of this. We appreciate you guys for being on. We'll put up real quick for those who are on TikTok, ways that you can get in contact with us or study what we're doing, study to show yourself approved under Elohim, that you can be a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, and you can see what's going on. We do have classes that we do outside of here. We do have other types of Bible studies and other things that we do offline, so feel free to get a hold of those things. This is the number you can text us at, 410-714-5078. The website above my head is kofi-40.com, KOFI-OFORI.com. You can find us on YouTube at #FindKofi, #FindKofi, or you can just find us on social media platforms, period, by looking up #FindKofi. You can Google #FindKofi and be able to find out what's going on. Also, too, my son's YouTube site, 777 Solid Face. You know, he's a 6-year-old who's trying to show you his life and going to teach you some things on his level. Also, is going to show you things he's learning. He also has stuff about him just like walking through libraries, or we just loaded up like 3 videos last night. So he's got stuff on there for you to be able to follow him and be able to see what he's doing on his level for the children. We want our children to have things. Hey, babe, I didn't know my wife, the Honorable Bloom and Flourish, is on. I was also going to say you can find him by looking up #FindSolomon, #FindKofi, #FindBloom, BLOOM. You can also check out my wife and what she's doing as a herbalist, a healer, a chemist, and a biologist. Biologist by degree, by the way, for people who need that part of it. You can look her up at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, but the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. You can find her on TikTok, YouTube, and her website. Yeah, you can look us up. Also, another number to reach us at, and you take a screenshot if you need to, or if you're writing this down. I'm about to take my leave, so I'm about to get off of here. So feel free to look this stuff up. But you can also text us at 202-599-7312. Again, that's 202-599-7312. Again, I say 202 202-599-7312. Last time, that's 202-599-7312. Our prayers that you not only be hearers of this word, but doers as well. Remember, this is our year of pursuit where we're pursuing the promises of the Most High. We want to hashtag finish strong on that so that come next year, we can transition into Passover season, which on Passover, we'll officially begin to start living in that which we pursued. Thank you so much. So many different things coming up, ladies. Remember, December 18th, set that aside, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time, Women in Red. That's coming up. We are looking at, starting next week, I'm going to start asking more questions about those that want to be baptized as we go to different places in the name of Yahweh, Yashva, Ruach HaKodesh. If you want to just join up with us, even if you don't want the baptism but want to meet in person at our meetups and things like that, start letting us know as we get ready. Those who are interested in classes, all that stuff, just let us know offline. You can text us at the information that we've given out. If you would like to do things, even as far as donations, for those of you who like to do donations or offerings or things like of that nature, feel free to look up what we're doing, Kofi-40.com first. Let us know what you're giving it to us for. We have the Cash App information in our bio, but also on TikTok. It's on the information in the description box and other places. Also, we have other ways of being able to help. Just get in contact with us for more information on that. We do not sell anything. We just ask for donations, okay? So thank you so much. We appreciate you. That's all I have. So as always, this has been Pastor Kofi, a.k.a. the Shadow Man One, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we're always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken until I have the great privilege, opportunity, responsibility of being in front of you all again. Please remember, as always, that you are loved. You are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in the system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family.